Telecom networks are changing again, and this time it's not about faster speeds or better coverage, it's about turning networks into intelligent, software-driven systems.
The technologies we're building today are optimized for that future architecture that's coming.
For Nokia, that shift is an opportunity and a risk.
Nokia's ambitions are bolder and bigger than others. The real debate is around whether there is a business today or in the next 3 or 4 years, and that is risky.
Nokia went from making phones to building the networks behind them. Now, it's betting on the next shift in how those networks operate. I'm Arjun Karpal, and in this final episode of Built for Billions, we're looking at the next shift in telecom, because the networks that power the internet are changing again. For decades, telecom companies built the infrastructure that kept us connected. Now, the opportunity is shifting from the hardware that carries data to the software that controls it.
It's really about being a product company at its core, and product is hardware, software, systems, platforms, services. Increasingly, we're gonna see capabilities as we build AI into our platforms, where we're providing data and models as tools for our customers. But I still see us fundamentally as a product-first company.
Today, Nokia sits at the center of the global telecom industry, building the networks that power mobile and internet connectivity.
Today, Nokia is a business that covers fixed markets, so fixed broadband, also data center and optical connectivity, and also mobile networks. And they have a licensing business as well, which is very high margin, building on the IP they've built up over decades.
But that position is under pressure.
In the mobile networks business, 20, 30 years ago, there were 10 or 15 or maybe even 20 players globally. Over the last couple of decades, the market's consolidated down. The 4 large ones are ZTE, Chinese headquartered, Huawei, Chinese headquartered, Ericsson in Sweden, Nokia in Finland, and then Samsung networks are a bit smaller, but are usually talked about in the same breath.
Over the past decade, competition has intensified. Nokia's share of the global network equipment market has declined as Chinese rivals like Huawei and ZTE have grown rapidly. These companies compete aggressively on price and invest heavily in new technology.
The Chinese companies have been successful in mobile networks, in base stations and everything else, because they are incredibly ferocious competitors. They invest heavily in R&D. They swift follow if they're behind, and they try and lead. And they invest in technologies with a broad remit. And historically, they used to undercut Western vendors on price as well.
But competition in telecommunications isn't just commercial, it's geopolitical. In recent years, governments in the US, UK, and parts of Europe have restricted Chinese vendors like Huawei from their networks, reshaping the global market.
Huawei is something that's very dangerous. You look at what they've done from a security standpoint, from a military standpoint, it's very dangerous. We're not allowing Huawei into our country. We're not changed on that.
The best way to secure our networks is for operators to stop using new affected Huawei equipment to build the UK's future 5G networks.
The challenge for an operator now is, depending on which country you're in, you may have restrictions on what vendors, what suppliers you're allowed to use. And so often Nokia is really competing just against Ericsson and maybe Samsung in many Western markets. Clearly, it's an opportunity for all the Western vendors that obviously improves the negotiating position of the suppliers. I think Nokia's challenge is they haven't exploited as much as they should have done. If there weren't the constraints on Huawei and ZTE, they would have tremendous more pressure in the market, not just on price, but also on technology leadership.
For Nokia, that creates both an opportunity and a constraint.
We have a great portfolio. We're uniquely positioned as a Western provider of telecommunications infrastructure, particularly with AI and cloud. Our technology positions us perfectly to support the demand for data center infrastructure build, as well as the connectivity between them. This is a market that we're expected to now grow over 25% per year for the foreseeable future.
For decades, telecom companies built the pipelines that have kept us connected. Now, the opportunity is in what runs through them and how intelligently those networks operate.
AI is a fundamentally different traffic profile. It's much burstier, it's more dynamic, because AI can take the form of tokens that have voice, they have data, they have video, they may have all three. They also will have kinetic information, so their location, their movement, the security profile, and handling these tokens is going to require a different architecture. The technologies we're building today are optimized for that future architecture that's coming.
To understand where this is heading, it helps to look at how networks have evolved. Each generation didn't just make things faster, it changed what networks could do. 1G enabled voice calls, 2G made messaging possible, 3G brought the internet to mobile devices, 4G unlocked video, streaming, and app-based services, and 5G connected everything from phones to machines. Research suggests 6G could deliver speeds thousands of times faster than 5G. But 6G isn't just the next step in speed, it's the foundation for a new kind of network, one built around AI.
We talk about AI traffic as being unique and different, much like we've seen in the past, building networks that contemplate that. And then as a part of building AI native networks, and again, not just for mobile, but also for fixed infrastructure, data center connectivity, fiber to home, for example, but also in mobile, when we think about that, AI native networks, 6G becomes a platform that's optimized for carrying that AI traffic. And that's what we see as a natural evolution.
6G is still years away, with most estimates pointing to deployment around 2030. But the shift towards AI-driven networks is already happening, and Nokia is moving early. Through a partnership with NVIDIA, it's pushing to build AI-powered networks known as AI RAN.
It transforms us to building software capabilities, AI native capabilities into our stack. And that means our customers will ultimately get better performing systems, better performing solutions, and really a model shift. We'll move away from this legacy model we've had, particularly in telecommunications, where every innovation is deemed by a hardware investment, moving to much more of a software native architecture where we can deliver enhancements, performance improvements, new features on a far more regular basis. And that really creates a business model shift because it means our customers can now innovate more quickly, deliver new services to market, and hopefully capitalize on the new revenue streams that we know physical AI and 6G will enable.
The NVIDIA investment is important for a few counts. One is, obviously, it's a big investment. It helps stabilize the company and the rest. But it also makes Nokia a lead route to market for NVIDIA. Nokia's challenge, though, is if they're successful with AI RAN, if they're successful with that NVIDIA hardware, there's not a great deal to stop Ericsson or Samsung going down the same route 2 or 3 years later.
Its rival Ericsson is taking a different path, building tightly integrated systems where hardware and software are designed together for maximum performance. Nokia, by contrast, is betting on a more open model, using software and AI to bring in partners, developers, and new services. A very different approach from the one that left Nokia behind in the smartphone era.
Nokia need to make sure that obviously they succeed with what they're doing in mobile networks and continue to grow and establish the AI presence in optical and data center and everything else. But they need to make sure this isn't just a strategy for the next 5 years, but it sets the company up for the next 15 or 20 years. So it's an ambitious play, and what Nokia are trying to do is tackle the problems they experience with 5G.
Nokia helped define the first era of mobile phones. Now it's trying to define what comes next.
What I would say about Nokia's business today is it's not right to talk about infrastructure anymore. Software is now a core part of what it means to be a networks business. It's about it all together and integrated well together. It's about innovation that straddles software and hardware.
What I want is 2 things for Nokia. One is this company to have its clear next chapter in its evolution. And second, for Team Nokia to feel that pride and that winning feeling that comes from leading the market again in product innovation and delivering success for our customers.